Do not confuse the laws of God with the laws of Moses. There is a difference. Do not confuse the laws of God with the laws of Jesus. Yes, there is a difference. Do not confuse the laws of God with the laws of Paul. You need discernment of spirits, or else you will go around saying the Bible is contradicting itself. Because you cannot differentiate between the two, whether it is God who is talking or whether it is the prophet. But welcome to my church, where the blind receive sight and the deaf start to hear. Today we are doing higher grade. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 12. For when the priesthood is changed, the law must be changed also. Hebrews. We are not talking about Romans, because Romans were Gentiles who have just turned to Christianity. They are newcomers, they were beginners. Now we are talking to the Hebrews. We are talking higher grade gospel to people who already know the word of God. For when the priesthood is changed, the law must be changed also. But the laws of God will never change. But we need to change the laws of the priests, because the priest has to tailor make the laws of God so that they can fit the current generation. I'm going to read from the Bible so that you can understand how to differentiate between the two. You know, when you are going to a shop to buy a suit, you are going to find a medium standard size. But that medium will not fit all medium people the same, because another one who is medium has big arms. Another one who is medium has big calves. So we have to take the suit to the tailor so that the tailor can make sure that the suit fits nicely on a specific person. But that tailor is not going to come with a new design of that suit. He's just going to tailor the suit perfectly for a specific person. It will not look far from the original standard design. So when God comes with a law, he puts a law on the table. And then the prophet will look at that law and look at the people, the way they are living in current affairs, and see if the people can fit to that law. If they don't fit, the prophet will take that law and tailor it a little bit, not far from the law of God, so that it can fit the current generation. Matthew chapter 19, verse 3 to 9. I want you to see how a certain law was tailored throughout the different generations. Some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any or and every reason? Now the Pharisees are coming to test Jesus' knowledge, whether he is a priest who just crams the word of God or if he fully understands it. Haven't you read? Jesus Christ now is asking them, haven't you read? He replied that at the beginning, the Creator made them male and female and said, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What God has joined together, let no one separate. Now, Jesus is telling them that the law of God says two people that have been joined by God together, let no man separate. Let there be no divorce between these two people. Listen to what they ask him now to see if he understands what is happening. Why then, they asked, did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away? They said, okay, we are hearing you. You are saying God hates divorce. But why did Moses do this? And this thing was not considered a sin in the times of Moses, even though God said, I hate divorce. Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. But it was not this way from the beginning. So now, God said, don't divorce your wife. But Moses looked at the generation that just came from Egypt, the people that were hard-headed, the people that could not understand the word of God because they had been slaves for the longest time. And Moses thought, this perfect law of God that says no divorce, we are going to struggle because these people are always fighting and they are bringing many cases. So let us change a little bit, tailor the law. He says, if you dislike the person that you are with, write her a certificate of divorce and let her go free. Moses allowed divorce because he looked at his generation that it was a stiff-necked generation. Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. Now listen to what Jesus is saying. Now he is bringing his own version in his times. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for marital unfaithfulness, and marries another, commits adultery. Now, Jesus is saying, God said no divorce at all. Jesus says divorce only based on one condition: marital unfaithfulness. Now, this is the law of Jesus. The law of Moses says dislike. The law of Jesus says marital unfaithfulness, but the law of God says there is no divorce. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10 to 11. To the married, I give this command. Not I, but the Lord. Paul is saying, what I am about to tell you is not from me, it is from the Lord. A wife must not separate from her husband. This is what the Lord said. But at 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 12, listen to what Paul says. To the rest, I say this, I, not the Lord. If any brother has a wife who is not a believer and she is willing to live with him, he must not divorce her. Paul says, if you are a believer and your wife is a sangoma, you can stay with that wife. But God did not say that. When we read the word of God, it says, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 to 18, do not be unequally yoked with disbelievers. What union is there between Christ and Belial? What union is there between light and darkness? What union is there between the temple of God and these idols that are being worshipped? Therefore, come out from them. That was the word of God. But Paul, because he is looking at this guy who is coming and joining our church, and now this guy is already married to a sangom, he says, this guy loves his wife. But God says two people cannot mix that are different, that are coming from different religions, because they are going to clash and they are going to fight. Come out from there. But Paul says, the way I'm seeing things in the church of the Corinthians, I think, guys, your wife, we can pray for her so that when we can pray for you so that when you go and be with your wife, she will be saved through you. But it is not the word of God. We need to learn to discern the spirits, know who is talking, whether it is God or it is the prophet. I hope next time you will not go around saying the Bible is contradicting itself, because the laws are tailored so that they can fit a current generation. Khotso, I believe na.